The first thing you notice isn't speed, or stability, or even the philosophy behind it. It's the way it looks. That's the shift happening right now, quietly but powerfully, across the Linux desktop ecosystem. For years, Linux has been known as the system of freedom, performance, and customization. But let's be honest, design wasn't always its strongest selling point. It worked beautifully under the hood, but visually it often felt fragmented, inconsistent, or simply outdated compared to what users were seeing on other platforms. That's changing now, and not in a small way. What we're witnessing is the beginning of a true desktop design revolution on Linux, one that could redefine how people perceive and use it for the next decade. This transformation didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of iteration, feedback, and a growing understanding within the Linux community that user experience matters just as much as technical excellence. Developers and designers are no longer working in isolation. They're collaborating more closely than ever, blending engineering with aesthetics to create environments that feel modern, polished, and intuitive. And the results are finally starting to show in a way that's impossible to ignore. Take a moment to think about what makes a desktop feel new. It's not just about icons or colors, it's about motion, spacing, responsiveness, and how everything connects together into a cohesive experience. Modern Linux desktops are beginning to embrace these principles fully. Animations are smoother, transitions feel natural, and interfaces are being designed with a clear visual language instead of a patchwork of mismatched components. This is a huge shift from the past, where customization often came at the cost of consistency. One of the most exciting aspects of this revolution is how different desktop environments are evolving in their own unique directions, while still pushing toward a shared goal of better design. Some are focusing on minimalism and simplicity, stripping away unnecessary elements to create a clean and distraction-free workspace. Others are embracing bold visuals, vibrant colors, and dynamic layouts that feel alive and expressive. This diversity is one of Linux's greatest strengths, and now it's being channeled into design innovation rather than just technical variation. At the same time, usability is becoming a central focus. It's no longer enough for a system to be powerful. It has to be approachable. New users should be able to sit down at a Linux desktop and feel comfortable almost instantly. This means clearer navigation, better defaults, and smarter layouts that anticipate what users need instead of forcing them to figure everything out on their own. The goal isn't to remove customization, but to provide a strong, intuitive foundation that works well right out of the box. Another major factor driving this change is the influence of modern design trends across the tech industry. Whether it's the fluidity of mobile interfaces or the clean aesthetics of contemporary operating systems, Linux developers are paying attention. But they're not just copying these ideas, they're adapting them in ways that align with the open source philosophy. The result is something that feels familiar enough to be comfortable, yet distinct enough to stand on its own. Underneath all of this visual improvement is a layer of technical advancement that makes it possible. New display technologies, better graphics handling, and improved compositors are enabling smoother animations and more responsive interfaces. These changes might not be immediately visible, but they're essential to the overall experience. Without them, even the most beautiful design would feel sluggish or unpolished. Now, the performance is catching up to the vision, allowing designers to push boundaries without compromising usability. What's particularly interesting is how this shift is influencing the perception of Linux beyond its traditional audience. For years, Linux has been seen as a system for developers, enthusiasts, and power users. But as the design improves, it's becoming more appealing to a broader range of people. Creative professionals, casual users, and even those who have never considered Linux before are starting to take notice. The barrier to entry is lowering, not because the system is becoming less powerful, but because it's becoming more welcoming. This doesn't mean the journey is complete. In fact, it's just beginning. There are still challenges to overcome, especially when it comes to consistency across applications. One of the long-standing issues with Linux desktops has been the lack of a unified design language across different software. You might have a beautifully designed desktop environment, but then open an application that looks completely different, breaking the visual flow. Addressing this requires cooperation across projects, something that's improving but still a work in progress. Another challenge is balancing innovation with stability. Rapid changes can sometimes lead to fragmentation or confusion, especially for users who rely on a consistent workflow. The key is to evolve in a way that feels natural, building on existing strengths rather than constantly reinventing the wheel. The most successful designs are those that feel intuitive, where changes enhance the experience without making users feel lost. Despite these challenges, the momentum is undeniable. Each new release brings noticeable improvements, not just in features, but in how those features are presented and integrated. It's becoming clear that design is no longer an afterthought in the Linux world. It's a priority. And that shift in mindset is what makes this moment so significant. There's also a deeper philosophical aspect to this transformation. Linux has always been about freedom, the freedom to modify, to customize, to control your own computing experience. Now, that freedom is being extended into the realm of design. Users aren't just given a fixed interface, they're given a beautifully designed starting point that they can shape to fit their needs. This combination of strong defaults and limitless customization is something that other operating systems struggle to match. As you explore these new desktops, you start to notice small details that make a big difference. Subtle shadows that add depth, carefully chosen color palettes that reduce eye strain, and layouts that guide your attention naturally. These are the kinds of refinements that elevate an interface from functional to enjoyable. They don't just make the system easier to use, they make it a pleasure to interact with. And then there's the sense of community behind it all. Unlike proprietary systems, where design decisions are made behind closed doors, Linux development is open and collaborative. Users can provide feedback, contribute ideas, and even participate directly in the design process. This creates a feedback loop that drives continuous improvement, ensuring that the desktop evolves in ways that reflect the needs and preferences of its users. Looking ahead, the possibilities are incredibly exciting. As design continues to improve, we could see Linux desktops becoming a serious contender, not just in niche markets, but in the mainstream. Imagine a world where the average user chooses Linux not because it's different, but because it's better, more beautiful, more intuitive, and more aligned with their needs. That's the direction things are heading, and it's closer than many people realize. The integration of new technologies will play a big role in this future. From advanced window management systems to more intelligent user interfaces, the Linux desktop is poised to become more adaptive and responsive than ever before. Features that once seemed experimental are becoming standard, and the line between innovation and usability is starting to blur in the best possible way. At the same time, the focus on performance remains a core strength. Unlike some platforms that sacrifice speed for visual flair, Linux is finding ways to deliver both. Efficient resource management ensures that even visually rich environments can run smoothly on a wide range of hardware. This inclusivity is a key part of the Linux philosophy, ensuring that users aren't forced to upgrade their systems just to enjoy a modern interface. There's also a growing emphasis on accessibility, making sure that these new designs are usable by as many people as possible. Clear typography, better contrast, and thoughtful layout choices are helping to create interfaces that are not only sunder, but also practical for users with different needs. This is another area where open collaboration plays a crucial role, allowing diverse perspectives to shape the final product. As this revolution unfolds, it's worth reflecting on how far Linux has come. From its early days as a purely functional system to its current evolution into a visually compelling platform, the journey has been remarkable. And yet, it still retains the core principles that made it special in the first place. That balance between tradition and innovation is what makes this moment so unique. The desktop is no longer just a tool, it's an experience. And for the first time in a long time, Linux is delivering that experience in a way that feels cohesive, modern, and genuinely exciting. This isn't just about catching up to other operating systems. It's about carving out a new identity, one that combines the best of open-source philosophy with world-class design. So when people say that Linux is getting a new look, they're not just talking about a visual refresh. They're talking about a fundamental shift in how the desktop is conceived, designed, and experienced. It's a movement that's redefining expectations and opening up new possibilities for what a desktop environment can be. And the most exciting part is that this is only the beginning.